It's time to get activated, gamers, because you're listening to the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2021, featuring Dan and Bob Video Games.
Bob, I decided to become a junker.
A junker? Dan, why?
KZ Excellent.
I'm waiting for my Uber.
And Mr. Feel.
SNL isn't funny.
This time, we're joined by outrageous categories such as...
We thought it would be neat to do a top 10 list and Game of the Year list in our Game of the Year ceremony that this is the 5th fucking video in.
So sit all the way back in your race car office chair and hold on to your butts, gamers, because the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2021 Podstravaganza starts right now. We finally made it. We're all here, ready to tell you our top 10s, and from that construct the GigaBoots Podcast Network Game of the Year 2021 Top 10 Games of 2021. We've still got Bob.
Hey, guys.
We've still got KG.
I'm ready.
We've still got Mr. Feel.
I'm new improved Mr. Feel.
Oh my god. Ultra Eco Mr. Feel.
No more eyebrows.
I have no more eyebrows, and I hurt myself with this, but somehow that makes me stronger.
I'm so excited for all this. Let's get to it. For my top 10 list, it's a top 8.
No, it's like MySpace.
I did, yes. These are my besties from 2021.
Let's go.
These are the games that I would give an 8 or higher. These are the games that were really special to me this year, or really last year. You know, we record this in the correct year. We should normalize that.
Yes.
God.
We're working on it.
Someday we'll win this cultural battle. Does anyone else feel like that, or are we just doomed forever?
We're doomed.
Oh, man.
I think we can win on the scale of smaller creators, but like the VGAs ain't ever going to be in January.
No, the Game Awards is never going to show up in January. I'm going to start off my list with a game that I was optimistic for, but I didn't realize how much I would enjoy.
Ooh.
My number 8 goes to Pokemon Unite.
Huh.
I was shocked by how enjoyable that thing was.
Nice.
The only complaint I have with the game, personally, is that it does not work on a MacBook. Pokemon Unite, for people who don't know, that's the Pokemon MOBA. It came out on Switch, it came out on smartphones, it came out on tablets, it came out on anything except for a laptop, apparently. Very enjoyable MOBA. I think they did a really good job landing this. You know, there are so many Pokemon spin-offs, and you can see them all just sort of spin off into not mattering. But this one did a great job of really landing it and having enjoyable mechanics and a netcode that, while relatively unresponsive compared to, say, a desktop MOBA, it is relatively competent compared to a mobile MOBA. You know, like your smartphone sort of MOBA games, which I've played enough of those to know this feels better than most. Really enjoyable game. Very excited to play some more. But I'm going to move on with my list. My number 7 is Kena Bridge of Spirits. When Bob was like, hey, check out these Zelda games for this year, I didn't anticipate 2 of them being 2D and 1 being 3D, and the 3D one being really good. I was shocked by how beautiful the game is, how fun the mechanics are to engage with, how good the story keeps going. Because, you know, with a lot of games, you know, there's a Zelda game that's not making my list where the plot just did not hold the whole way through. Where I don't think it was solid enough and mechanically very frustrating. But Kena's an absolutely gorgeous game. One of the only complaints I could have about this game is those cutscenes need to not be a cinematic frame rate because it does not look right when played back at 60. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I wish anyone talked to them about that, because that would have been fine in its own vacuum, right? Mm-hmm. Like if this game was in fact a Blu-ray where I was watching these cutscenes at 24 frames per second and it looked right, it'd be fine. But it's got that judder. I really enjoyed the art style. The world felt fun and worth exploring, like, because there's tons of stuff to go and find. And the abilities were really neat. I really enjoyed the game, and I enjoyed the combat. I don't think, for me, it fell apart at the final boss. But that final boss being as hard as it was funny, because 2 bosses before that, I did a single, what was it, a no-hit run on the boss. And the boss before it, I did a single try run. You know, I didn't have to retry the boss at all.
Right.
And then you hit the final boss. I was like, was this ramp intentional? Did you intend this?
Horrors beyond our comprehension.
Is this funny to you? But yeah, no, Kena, really great. I hope more people give that game a try because I feel like it would have been... I feel like the game has largely already been passed on. Maybe it'll come out on other platforms in the future, and that'll give it a second life as well. But I think the game's really beautiful and really special.
Yeah, I think it sold okay.
Yeah, as I understand, financially it did well.
Okay.
Yeah, as I understand, it did well. Like, they're jazzed about the success of it.
Yeah, they said Sony was happy, like, very quickly after launch.
So we're moving on from my number 7, Kena Bridge of Spirits, to my number 6, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Absolutely amazing experience. The only shortcoming is after you have eaten every other Ratchet game in existence, you start to view Ratchet games a little quirky. Where you're like, where's the arena? I need an arena with like...
where's the arena?
I need 20 combat missions in the arena.
Yes.
No, we need Ratchet and Clank 2 where there was like a 1,000.
Yeah, no, it was really great. And I do appreciate the races they had in the arena, but I feel like that should have been multiple different things, right? We should have had a ton of races.
Yeah, we should have a race arena.
Yes, because racing in the game is so fun. Like, and you get the couple times they do it in the arena, and then you get it in the tower in that one world where you're unearthing, you know, ancient secrets. That might be the last collectible you spent an hour looking for. But outside of that, I don't feel like we really got enough racing stuff. But the actual core game itself, the plot's really enjoyable, mechanically really cool, visually very stunning. It's literally one of the most responsive games ever made because they're crazy 120 hertz stuff. It was so enjoyable. I just need to give it time to go back to it because I sucked everything out of it. And they don't have a more built out arena, which if they did, that would have really landed it. But an absolutely great game. People definitely... I look forward to... Never mind. I'm not going to say anything about future world events that might involve more PS5s being able to be produced because that'll curse everything. I've seen how Game of the Year has gone so far. Every year. Where we say, hope nothing bad happens, and then the sky darkens.
And you become a sheep.
So we're going to move on to my number 5. Megaten 5 is my number 5. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is absolutely excellent and makes me feel so fucking happy. I'm so glad that we have a really strong contender in the turn-based RPG department this year that is going for a AAA thing. That is a really important game that they spent forever making. It was so enjoyable mechanically and everything else. And this series, it's so nice to see this arc given how Shin Megami Tensei 4 lived in the 3DS dimension.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how happy I am that this finally happened because I remember a bajillion years ago, many, many lives and deaths ago for myself, Bob shows me this game on the PS2. He's like, check this out, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to get one of these the next time they make one. And then it took forever, and then it appeared in the one place I didn't want it. It was pretty unreal, but I love so many different things about this game. It really is great, and if we had a category this year for best level up song, would have taken it without any contest. The top here is emotionally complex. I need to tell you, it really is. Like, it's not easy to sort games, all of which you love this much. And I feel like I've made the correct decision after weeks of mulling on it and sweating profusely, especially when one of these came in at the last second with a wrench. We're going to move to my number 4, Death's Door. in some way, you look at Death's Door and it's a smaller game than many of the games that preceded on my list. Obviously, it's not as expensive as Kena, Ratchet and Clank, Shin Megami Tensei 5. A much smaller experience. But between the story being what it's about and the way it's handled, the visual and tone of everything in the atmosphere and every character, like, it's a game with levity and it's not overly somber. It's something that's so appreciable when covering the nature of death and other things about that, that it's really appreciated, because they could have easily completely messed up the tone here and made it insufferable. And while mechanically it still would have been great, it still would have had really cool Zelda dungeons. It just would have not been as great if it didn't have, Pothead.
He really brings up to the
I'm
table.
Pathead.
Yeah, exactly.
You want some soup?
There's 10 million timelines where that game is too somber, where it's too self-serious. And it wasn't until I checked out the No Clip documentary that I, listening to the devs describe it themselves, they say, like, the way they wanted to handle it wasn't overly somber or something. It was just honest. And that's how I feel about the game. Like, it does feel honest with that tone, but it also has levity. And also, I love the soundtrack. I nominated the soundtrack for, like, best soundtrack of the year. It's amazing, in my opinion. It's just so hard to describe how well it lands it elegantly. It makes it look effortless to do a soundtrack like that and have it have lasting value and also be incredibly well produced. Drives me insane, because I swear to you, I have seen so many games come before this trying to do similar things to this and just screw it up. One might say the prior game from this exact dev tried to do something similar for me, and it just didn't land. Like, it was really neat, but I'm not a fan of it. So this next game, my number 3, I thought was going to be my game of the year when it came out, because we didn't know what else was coming out that year, and I didn't know things yet. My number 3 is Returnal. While there are some complicated feelings about the ultimate reveals of the story, the actual experience of seeing one of their extremely twitchy, fast-paced, high-octane action twin sticks turned into a third-person shooter properly with these insane hyper-feedback loop mechanics like the adrenaline and all these other systems. I cannot believe how well they landed this transition, and I did not expect it to go this well. As someone who loved Housemarque, I did not expect this game to go that well. It's one of the most enjoyable third-person shooters I've ever played. My singular hope for the next game is that it is not a roguelike. Because this game is absolutely amazing. And I would like more people to be able to enjoy through what is a very high difficulty and very punishing roguelike mechanics. I still enjoyed it despite that, but I absolutely look out there and I understand, when people say, maybe we should be able to save, and other things about the game that were eventually resolved. And other things about the game, like, we're just never going to spawn this thing for you, oops, that were eventually resolved. It's very funny coming back to it after so many months. And it's like, hey, here's the stuff you don't have. And I'm like, oh, they fixed it. You start doing runs and it's like, here's some artifacts you never got. And I'm like, oh, thank you. You realized I didn't have this and then made a decision to change that. I appreciate it. But the actual feeling of the combat and the mechanics itself are so visceral and enjoyable and so amazing. And when it comes to an art style, this game really lands it. Like, it does sci-fi horror so well. And it still has that Housemarque magic of, like, their particle system is unreal. Like, tentacles in this game are particles. So many different things that you would not think are particles, and they've got millions of them on the screen. It looks so stunning at all times. Like, every time they have the, not the teleport across the entire biome, but the teleport across a single area. Teleporter pads with the sphere of particles that react to you approaching them. And then you explode into particles. It's just stunning. Like, every part of this game is visually stunning. And some of the boss fight moments are really, really memorable. I do genuinely and deeply love this game. I am shocked. I was so worried, especially when Sony was like, no, you're launching then. And then at the last minute, they go, you get 1 month. And clearly they needed more than one. Clearly they did. But yeah, so I'm giving Returnal my number 3. As I said, when I played Returnal, I didn't know what else was coming out that year. There were other things I didn't know. My number 2 is Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread came out of nowhere. Made by one of my least favorite studios in the industry. And they made what might be the best Metroid game ever.
Might.
With 18 quotes.
And I'm being generous to people who maybe didn't vibe with the game's mechanics. I enjoyed it the most of any Metroid game ever.
That's all that matters.
I think it's incredible. Like, it is absolutely stunning. I can't imagine a world where they don't want to make another Metroid game with Mercury Steam. It's so funny because when you look at the long term, you see, Mercury Steam tried to pitch their 3D Metroid game. Nintendo turned that down, and then that gets turned into, was it Raiders of the Broken Planet?
Yeah.
And then they get the budget 3DS game. And then that goes so well that Nintendo goes, okay, well, what if you did a full budget one of those? And all of this is happening while Prime is in development.
Yeah.
And it's still not out. And Metroid Dread is so good. They made the combat feel incredible. The phase shift teleporting thing feels like something out of a Housemarque game. When you hit the A button and just jump 20 feet to the left or right.
Yeah.
And that alone makes the combat so good between that and the countering. They just did an amazing job of making this game where movement has felt clumsy in past titles. You look at Metroid 1, 2, and Super, you're very floaty. And jumping doesn't feel that natural to people who aren't used to how those games feel. And then you play this and it's like all of it feels so tight and good. They did such an amazing job that this was supposed to be Game of the Year for me. Then I played Story of Seasons of Pioneers of Alltown. And this was going to hit lower when I thought it was only on Switch because the Switch version has problems.
Oh, yeah.
The Switch version renders some frames and then it takes a little break.
It could have a siesta, okay?
Yeah, we'll see.
It's like Pioneers of Oliver Town. Like, do you have to take a 4-hour lunch every day?
And as it rolls over and takes its micro siesta and says "see," the Switch struggles with the game. I think it's really unfortunate that this game was exclusive to the Switch for like 6 months because I think that did a lot to damage the reception of it. Playing it on PC is a dream. Everything loads instantly. The game runs at hundreds of frames per second rather easily. I just get everything done so fast. And now I'm going to talk about the actual game. This shockingly has taken a franchise like Harvest Moon, which now Story of Seasons. It's taken it and it's added so many smart ideas, which I hear are lifted, at least half of them from Stardew Valley. And it puts them in a game that's aesthetically pleasing. And they opened up the dating options so that way you can date either gender. You can have male or female pronouns. They don't do they, but at least they opened it up to the point where you can make your own custom character. And then as a dialogue option after that, you say what your gender is. And all of that on top of, they have made it so that way you can fill every second of every day with meaningful tasks. And you can even pay money to eat food to keep going. And as someone who's a huge fan of Friends of Mineral Town, I'll tell you, that does not hit anywhere near as hard as this does. Even if that was like my favorite Harvest Moon growing up, and Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town is a fantastic recreation of that, this is so far beyond that because it has so many smart advancements when it comes to this farming genre that you just have things actively that you could do at any moment. And it's so easy to just no life this game. because every moment you're just like, there's so much more I can do, and there are so many ways to leverage the game's mechanics to automate some things and do some other things and take yourself to new heights. It's really, really great. I advise anyone who's just even sort of open to the idea that they might like a farming game to check this game out on Steam. Unless you're really, really certain you do not care, in which case feel free to check yourself by checking it out on the Switch.
However,
and wrecking yourself.
you might think you don't care, but
you know, I streamed it. A lot of chat was horrified. They thought I undersold it, which I understand. But yeah, that's my top 8 games of the year. Going from the bottom to the top again. Pokemon Unite at number 8. Kena Bridge of Spirits at number 7. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart at 6. Shin Megami Tensei 5 at number 5. Death's Door at 4. Returnal at 3. Metroid Dread at 2. And Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town at number 1. I did not imagine a world where, like, Pioneers of Olive Town, when I picked this game up, when I finally played it this many months after launch, I assumed it was landing like 7 or 8. I was not heading into this thinking this would be such a great experience, but holy crap. But that's my top 8 list. We now move to KZ for his top 10.
All right, so this has been a very exciting year. We've done a lot. A lot of games have come out. I feel like this is the most competitive year. I had some honorable mentions that I'll run through very quickly. These are games that did not hit my top 10 at all. And many times I thought they would. So going through them quickly. Bowser's Fury. This game kicks ass. Has a really addictive Mario gameplay loop. But the nature of it being a bit smaller and some just in general, I loved it, but I really want to see it reach its full potential in like a more full fleshed out game. So it just did not hit that list. Also, No More Heroes 3, another honorable mention. Really enjoyed this one, especially from a story standpoint. But I feel like the lack of proper levels for a lot of these things, the Switch performance, and certain ways the enemies deal with you in combat left me feeling a little lesser, but still really enjoyed it. My third honorable mention, Mario Party Superstars. I've been waiting for this type of game for over 10 years. Really happy we finally got a good one of these. But 2 of the 5 boards are from Mario Party 1, and those boards are bad. I need them to add more good boards because there's nothing going on. There's no sauce on any of these. So I just need a little bit more to be able to have it be an all-time great. For my last 2 honorable mentions, Returnal. Returnal's really sick. Dan really dug into a lot of the reasons why that game's really cool. If this was a bit of a weaker year, I could see this actually hitting my top 10 after playing through it again and it not trying to brick my system, which was a very nice experience. Few games feel as tight as that game does, especially when you're having a good run. It just all the mechanics really start to sing. And my last honorable mention is going to Deathloop, a game that I thought was going to be in my top 10 for a while, but the honeymoon period ended, and I started thinking about it a lot more. And while I like the art direction, the music, the mechanics and stuff, the fact that that game essentially has only one true solution to end the game's loop really takes a lot of gas out of it for me.
Yeah. I actually, I would love to back you up on that the aesthetics and everything with that game are really, really great. Mm-hmm. There's so much going on there. It's really enjoyable. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's just some feeling that there is the square hole. Find it.
It really is. You're doing a quest line for all of the people you have to defeat. And once you've set them up, they give you a little animatic and they're done. Mm-hmm. And then once you've done all of them, you know exactly what you need to do to everybody at every single time. And the fact that that loop ultimately involves one of them doing something off screen so that they die off screen is kind of insane. I wish there were more options there, personally. And that would have kept me coming back and would have led to the game hitting my top 10, but it did not. Those are some honorable mentions. So let's jump into the real shit, the stuff that matters. My top 10 games of 2021, starting with number 10. It's going to go to Death's Door. This game, I heard a lot of glowing praise when it first hit on Xbox, and then when it finally came over to PlayStation, we're doing our quick wrap-up of 2021 games. I finally dived in, and this was really, really solid. A really good marriage of the things that I like, and say, like, maybe a Souls game, but ripped out all the bad stuff. And it's a really tight 2D Zelda type of thing, but it's going for that isometric view, which really gave it a really nice look. The overall aesthetic and the music is incredible in this. It's a perfect marriage in just how you hit some levels and the music just really starts hitting as you're going through the enemies, you're using your spells and whatnot. Most, if not all of the bosses, except for like one, I really thoroughly enjoyed. And the story really handles its subject matter well. It does have that nice mix of being somber, but also having plenty of levity that I'm like really enjoying it. And giving some of the bosses a lot of great personality, as we no doubt mentioned in certain categories during Game of the Year. But yeah, that's my number 10, Death's Door. Moving on to my number 9, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I've been debating this one for a lot of time this year. I really enjoyed it when it came out. I feel like its story was pretty good. I thought a lot of the new characters they introduced were fantastic. Some real good standouts there. A technical marvel. It just feels good to blow things up or deal with the various set pieces in this game. The portal stuff feels like in magic. It just feels crazy that they were able to achieve this type of stuff. And the only thing really holding it back is like some of my favorite games of this type, I need stuff to do in the post game, and this one feels really light. And it's really held back from just not having a lot for me to come back to besides that main campaign. But still, really solid game, and it's crazy that they got this out within like the first year. So that was my number 9, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Moving on to number 8, Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars. This is Yoko Taro's newest game. It seems to be its own spin-off series, the way they talk about it. So the concept of the game was you're playing a turn-based RPG, but everything is doled out in cards. You have only one person talking to you, and it's literally a dungeon master narrating and voicing every single character, narrating the actions that are happening. You're moving across the board like it's a classic tabletop game. Sometimes you're traveling across the map and they go, lightning's about to strike. Roll to see if you don't get hit by it. And then if you roll high enough, you'll definitely dodge that lightning. I thought it was going to really lean toward card-based mechanics, but it really doesn't. It's just going for a more presentation type of deal. While it still has card mechanics like, oh, you're grabbing mana and stuff like that, it's mostly dealing with turn-based RPG mechanics, and the story it delivers has that usual Yoko Taro flair of some darkness in there that just kind of feels a bit harrowing at times, but can definitely be hopeful. It has that general good style and wonderful music. I just came out of it really, really happy with it. It was nice to have a short JRPG of this type with a really unique flair. You can't really get a tabletop vibe from most video games. And that was really nice. But that's my number 8, Voice of Cards. Going into my number 7 is going to be Metroid Dread. This is, without question, my favorite Metroid game of all time. They really, really nailed it in terms of just making really tight gameplay, really fun combat. The exploration felt a lot of fun, all the various things you pick up. And you could see the experience they had thinking about Metroid design based on how long it takes you to get the Morph Ball, for instance, and designing things based on that, and good ways to funnel you to certain areas. And having played the game a few times throughout that magical launch week of it coming out and going, wow, this is really good. I just am kind of floored that they achieved something this tight, where I just keep thinking about it, and I do have the urge to go back and play it again. It did so many things so well from all angles. Really happy about that. So that's my number 7, Metroid Dread. Moving into number 6, Resident Evil Village is going to take that slot. I enjoyed Resident Evil 7 a decent bit. It definitely wasn't my favorite, but I was like okay with what they delivered. Resident Evil Village feels like the bigger blockbuster action focused one, and had what I find to be a bit more interesting areas and villains that I'm going up against in that. I had a really fun time going against each section throughout this, and mostly crafting pipe bombs and throwing it at werewolves was really satisfying in this game. Certain characters like Lady Dimitrescu and Heisenberg were incredibly hilarious and made that really, really fun. And this also carried over what Resident Evil 3 Remake had, which was the challenge point system to do more runs with certain gimmicks to unlock stuff. I really, really, truly enjoyed that. This could maybe get up higher on my list by at least a slot if that Mercenaries mode wasn't that. But as it stands, the main game, I really thoroughly enjoyed the stuff they did with that. So that's my number 6, Resident Evil Village. We now move into the top 5. This has been moving a lot. Top 5's real tough. There's been some really fantastic stuff this year. My number 5 is going to go to Neo, The World Ends With You. This is a game that most people who are fans of the original have been waiting for a long time because they've been teasing making a sequel for 10 years, I think. Like it feels like forever through countdown sites and putting out the same game again, but still trying to tease that maybe, just maybe, they'll put out a new game. And they put it out, and it's great. I enjoyed The World Ends With You, but I wish we got more of a traditional playing game that wasn't so focused on like touch-based mechanics, and we got something here where they adapted it, but still kept the soul of that type of game in there, where each button's like controlling a different character. And that felt interesting and fun to like really build up combos and stuff in this game. The World Ends With You always had this gameplay loop that felt like crack when it comes to grinding, where you can lower your level and you can raise the difficulty on the fly to get insane drop rates, and you're chaining enemies together, and they said your drop rate bonus is 15,000 times bigger, and that's just really, really exciting. The story was really satisfying, both as something that can be standalone, but also brings in a lot of the elements from the previous game to the point where I'm like, it doesn't matter if this one did not sell as well. I am super satisfied with what they gave us, and it gave a decent bit of closure on top of just being a really solid, fresh RPG. So that's my number 5, Neo, The World Ends With You. Heading into number 4, it's going to be Shin Megami Tensei 5. I have a lot of love for this game. I waited a very long time for this to finally come out. It feels great to see that developer take the SMT franchise and do something different with it and try to evolve what they're doing, where they de-emphasize the dungeons that they have been known for, these interiors, and then went open because they're back on a console. Something they said they wanted to do with Nocturne but could not because of time and budget. They could do here. Large open wastelands that you can explore that there's a puzzle of just figuring out how to get to certain areas. The combat has been rebalanced, and I like most of the things they did here with that. The soundtrack is just as good as the stuff in 4. The same composer came back and put out some really good bangers. This honestly had the potential, and always has been, to be like number 1, but I have a lot of qualms with some of the stuff they do with the story overall. They kind of knocked it down for me. But the core gameplay, it's almost never felt better. Some of the stuff that they just did with this just hits in such a unique way. And it has its own identity separate from most SMT games just through its exploration. And I really, really appreciate that. And I'm excited to see how they could, through an enhanced re-release, build on this, or even future games, seeing this type of approach. So that's my number 4, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Heading to the top 3, my number 3 is going to Lost Judgment. I played the original Judgment a couple of months before this came out, and really, really enjoyed it. And going into this one, I had a lot of high hopes for this Yakuza-style game, but focusing more on being like a detective and some of the law stuff, and trying to crack this case. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like they were firing on all cylinders here, both from its story to its combat. It's one of the best sequels since something like a Kingdom Hearts 2, where you see all of the mechanics being iterated on in such a way that combat feels so much better, so much faster. There's so much less lag on all of the moves you're doing and switching styles. And the mystery that you're dealing with is a lot of fun. And the characters are really, really enjoyable, to the point where I came out of just feeling like they nailed something amazing here. Hopefully they can figure things out and maybe make another one of these. But regardless, the team that made this, they're really showing that they're just making the best games they ever have been with Lost Judgment. And with that, we go into number 2. Since number 3 was Lost Judgment, number 2 is going to Deltarune Chapter 2. I wasn't expecting it to get this high when I was first jumping into it. I have a lot of love for Undertale. I think it was a fantastic game when it came out and really delivered something both unique, heartfelt, and amazing. And I also really enjoyed Deltarune Chapter 1 when they just dropped that randomly, and was really excited to see how that does going forward. Chapter 2 is such a better thing than its first chapter. There's so many improvements across the board. The music is incredible. All of the writing is top notch, and maybe the funniest game I played in years. I'm constantly stimulated like every 5 minutes with something interesting, funny, or engaging throughout this entire run. I did everything, including like the super boss, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It put me in a place where I was when I was a kid playing Super Mario RPG, where I'm just the writing is super snappy and funny, and I'm just wondering what the next thing is going to be. And there's a lot of really fun gimmicks included alongside the JRPG combat. Toby Fox and his team just knocked it out of the park with this. I'm super excited where things go from here, but this was truly a really, really good one. But that's my number 2, Deltarune Chapter 2, which brings us to my number 1, my game of the year for 2021, and it's going to Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. I had been on the fence, I think it was 2019, I put Shadowbringers in my top 10, but I feel like it might have been on the lower side. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It exceeded my expectations for an MMO, and this exceeds my expectations for a Final Fantasy game, where this was something they had been building up for the past 10 years. And many games, especially video games, fumble that bag real hard. And they don't manage to, they manage to either write something really stupid, or they have some really bad aspect to it. This nails absolutely everything I want from a brand new adventure that is also like this grand finale that they're building up on. The character development is fantastic. This has one of, if not my favorite, like RPG cast in it now. Some of the story reveals are incredibly satisfying. The soundtrack's going harder than it ever has been. And they continue to enhance how good these dungeons and boss encounters are, where they continue to come up with really crazy ideas and different things to do in terms of quest design and varied locations. And they weren't lying. This is the longest one of these they've ever made. It's like easily over 40 hours of engaging main content. We're now no longer in the world where we're spending 10 quests trying to set a dinner plate, where we're going out and actually dealing with things and getting some stuff done. This game has dominated the majority of my 20s, and it's good to see this story come to a really satisfying end, better than it ever has been. And that's why Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker is my number 1, my game of the year for 2021, which wraps up my top 10. That being from 10 to 1, Death's Door, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Voice of Cards The Isle Dragon Roars, Metroid Dread, Resident Evil Village, Neo The World Ends With You, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Lost Judgment, Deltarune Chapter 2, and FF14 Endwalker.
Okay. From KZ, we'll move on to Bob. Start blasting.
All right. I guess I'll do some runner-up real quick. Okay. I almost put Genshin Impact on this list because you guys are putting Final Fantasy Endwalker, so why not? They added Japan. That was pretty cool.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a brave new world. You can't keep track of games purely in terms of weird dates anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the year Ayaka came out.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's true.
Not every year does your wife come out.
And Ease 9. I would totally put this on my list if it wasn't so filled with filler and completely not balanced.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid of that game. Fill the bar.
That's unfortunate.
All right, so now moving on to my top 10 list.
Okay.
Number 10, World of Demons.
Yeah.
I'm the only one probably in the whole industry who will put this on a top 10 list.
And that's what makes yours cool.
It secretly came out on Apple Arcade, completely incomplete.
Completely incomplete.
It's actually a pretty fun action game. One of the best ones I played from Platinum in a long time. Better than Babylon's Fall by a lot.
Oh, yeah. No.
Well, that's not fucking hard.
No, it's not.
Like most people on this podcast network haven't seen this game. I've seen him play this game. This looks excellent, and I have no idea why it's trapped in the mobile dimension.
I looked at footage and got upset.
It's the biggest debuff you could imagine yet. Here it is. It's like it looks like Okami.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's got an
that's
amazing
why I was
art.
upset.
It's an amazing art style. Tons of great things going on. A fun story. Characters I enjoy, but it does have some definite problems from being a mobile game.
Speaking of the mobile game debuff, Bob, if you're okay with me bringing up Fantasian and how that didn't land on my list because it's in the mobile game dimension.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
I was so sad. I'm like, I'm not buying the thing, damn it. I'm not doing it. I'm not buying an Apple TV, but I wanna.
Sakaguchi's like, where will I hide my game next?
No, I'm so tired of you, old man.
My next game will be Stadia exclusive.
Oh no. As the sky darkens.
But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. It's by no means a perfect game or anything like that.
Right.
It has a ton of repetitive levels, but I really like it. I like the way it looks. My number 9, No More Heroes 3.
Word.
This almost didn't even make it on my list because I have a ton of problems with it. It's really limited by the Switch hardware.
Yeah.
The combat needs more going on. I need real levels, but I love what's here story-wise, and there's still a lot of really neat stuff in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, if they just make a version with a distinct subtitle like Director's Cut, it would easily land in my top 10 if they just ported that to another platform, right?
Right.
Because the performance problems do become a bear at some point.
They really do.
And you end up feeling a little disappointed by what could have been here if it literally was on anything else.
Yeah, if it just didn't have all the defaults associated with Switch.
Because some of these racing missions are insane.
Oh yeah, the only reason it can land on my list is I just didn't do most of the side quests.
Yeah, that's also me. I'm like, I learned to appreciate the toilet.
Yeah, no, the toilet's fine.
Yeah, you just mash the button. That's all you can really handle.
Unlike Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, and No More Heroes 3, during the mining missions, you can't drop a frame and miss the toilet.
That would be so good if you could, though.
That would be unreal.
God.
Yeah, no, when I started playing Pioneers of Olive Town, it really did make me think of No More Heroes 3.
Yeah.
Because I critically missed a rock.
I saw that happen. I went, how?
The Switch magic.
All right, my number 8, Guilty Gear Strive.
Ooh.
Nice.
I like this a lot. The online mode is really, really fun. It's great that we have good working online now for a fighting game I want to play.
Yeah.
Outside of Skullgirls.
Yeah. Outside of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, before this, it really felt like that was it.
Yeah, pretty much.
The story mode's pretty neat, but it does feel like there might have been some issues and definitely feels like there's things cut. And then there's obviously just missing pieces of the practice mode. Otherwise, this would be higher up on my list. I still really like what's here. The lobby is horrible. I was playing it a lot last night. Even was like, I sure wish this was designed any other way. Moving on to my number 7, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. It's a great game. Really good feeling third-person shooter. Lots of cool weapons. Runs amazingly. Looks unreal. Like if someone told you this was a CG movie, you'd probably believe it most of the time.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, this is great. It could definitely, like, there's little things I'm like, oh, that could be better. I wish I had a more built out arena, but what's here is excellent.
Yeah.
And I definitely could see myself playing through it again. Just I have to give it some time because
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah. I'm excited for my next playthrough. It just needs time.
right. Like I booted up. This is another one I booted up last night. I was like, yeah, this feels great. Like using the bouncer. The bouncer should have been unlocked first run. I shouldn't have to go to New Game Plus to get the bouncer. That thing is great.
Yeah,
That's very true.
I have no idea what they were thinking.
And of course, I have to note the worst thing in this game: what they did to the ultimate weapon, the
Rhino.
the
Yeah.
Rhino.
Yeah,
That's not the Rhino. What are you
No,
doing?
I don't understand.
Number 6, Melty Blood. Type Lumina. Thank
Yeah,
you.
there
I
we
was
go.
like, that's not the full title.
This game, I've been waiting who knows how long to be able to just buy a Melty Blood game on a modern platform.
18 years.
Has it been 18 years?
It
Oh my
has been
god.
18 years.
Yeah, that would have been like 2001 or 2002. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's funny how much energy this shares with Shin Megami Tensei 3 in that sense.
All they had to do was finally release a piece of that Tsukihime remake for this to exist.
Yeah, this game is really great. Totally unhinged in lots of ways, which I love in a fighting game. Like the one other bad thing about Strive is it feels like it's more limiting to the series to make it more accessible. Whereas Melty Blood has the auto combo buttons to make it accessible, but it's also just psychotic.
It also doesn't care after that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you have a button for auto perfect guards that let you teleport behind your opponent.
Yeah.
You have jump canceling. You have all this nonsense that can just unhinge the game. And it's really great to see these character designs like redone in a new style that still looks like old school anime.
Yeah.
I say old school anime. I mean mid 2000s anime. And it's great. I love it. As they keep adding more characters, I keep jump back in, still enjoying it. So yeah, that's great. I'm really glad that's back. Number 5, Tales of Arise. This feels like playing a PS2 JRPG that's done. It's been since the PS2 since I got that.
We had a couple of those this year.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. It's like, there's more new areas. Everything looks like it should be on the modern gen. What's happening?
Bob, I am begging you to pick up Atelier Ryza or Ryza 2.
I should.
Other things can give you this feeling, I promise.
Now, I'm not saying this to Dunk. Does that have a dub?
No, it does not. I'm sorry.
I'm not.
That's literally the only marring thing.
Yeah,
Right.
I wasn't saying that to own you. I was like, that is the one
But there's
one.
two whole collections that are from the PS3 that got upscaled and do have dubs.
Ooh.
But yeah, Bob, they were able to finally do this by making a PS3 game 18 times.
Yeah, as
Yes.
it turns out.
They were storing their energy like the Pokemon move Bide.
They were building momentum
Yes.
Yes.
for 2 gens.
Then just be able to switch to Unreal and have it work.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I love Tales of Arise for nothing more than I can point at it and go, see, JRPG devs, just switch,
Yeah.
please.
It was also really relieving after Scarlet Nexus came out to be like, oh no. And then go to, oh, there's sort of the company that gets it. Thank God.
Yeah. Don't worry. That was former
God,
Tales devs, not
God,
current Tales devs.
Scarlet Nexus is scary.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. Also, the story in this it's pretty generic at times, but I still enjoy it a lot. I like that it takes 2 seconds to be like, well, capitalism is its own form of slavery. And it puts it right back down. But did they even touch that? I was like, oh, thank you.
I know.
Yeah, generally a Tales of game story is mainly a crowd pleaser, and that's about it.
I genuinely appreciate that being in a Tales of game. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, other than that, I'm like, sometimes this thing that Aggro said years ago, just in passing.
Uh-oh.
Sometimes they just like something to be simple.
Yes!
That's all I want. It's fine.
That's where I come for every Tales game ever. And I'm happy about it.
It's just comfortable. I'm like, yeah, sure. Make an incredibly simplistic love story here. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, people do fall in love. This checks out.
Yeah, I like the funny owl.
My number 4. Death's Door. This is great.
Hell yeah.
This is one of my favorite Zelda likes released by not Nintendo ever. Honestly, it's up there with my favorite top-down Zelda games.
Yeah, I feel like if you were to... How do you feel about this, Bob? I feel like if you ranked all the Zelda games, this is one of the only non-Nintendos that could actually place.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it really feels like that.
Yeah, this feels like right up there with that 3DS Zelda game for
Link Between
game feel.
Worlds.
Yeah, Between Worlds.
Yes, I appreciate that this feels good like that does.
Yeah, it's got a better story than that for sure. And then I think art style can go either way because they're both really great in their own ways.
But see, yeah, they're both really great in their own ways. Link Between Worlds has Doodle Raz.
Yeah, it does.
And Death Door has that frog.
Yep.
But yeah, that's just a ton of fun to play. I playing the game the whole time was like, it's going to turn to Dark Souls, right? No, it doesn't. I can imagine the 10 other versions of this game that are highly Dark Souls influenced and terrible.
I got confused, dude, when I died, and I'm like, I didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, no, they just made a game.
There was, I am willing to bet there was some beta version of that game where you lost your shit when you died, and then they were like, "Wait, why?"
And they're like, "Why do we care about this? This seems to it seems to just invoke a negative reaction."
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely certain there were 10 other versions of this game earlier that were Dark Souls-esque, and they just slowly removed that through death cycling.
Yes, we found the good future that Doctor Strange was looking for.
Yeah, Death's Door was actually Devolver Digital, right?
Yes.
Yes. I remember in that documentary, the No Clip documentary that everyone should go watch if you've beaten the game, especially.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a part where it's really going to get into it. Anyway, one of the parts of that they talk about, we had access to, what AAA studios do for quality assurance and like player feedback.
Oh.
So part of me wonders if somebody on staff immediately figured out that sucked or if it just got back from testing and they're like, everyone hates this. Please stop.
Right?
And they're like, oh, okay, cool.
They're like, all right, sure.
Two easy tricks to make your game not suck.
FromSoft hates this.
This is a Kino Fabino edit waiting to happen.
All right, my number 3. Kena, Bridge of Spirits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this game I liked a lot. I like this way too much, maybe, because it just fills that 3D Zelda void that I don't have anything right now. And like even Breath of the Wild, I love it for what it is.
Yeah.
But it is not like a traditional 3D Zelda.
Yeah,
whereas
no.
this is much more like just you're playing Ocarina of Time, you're playing something like that. But with jump button and just generally feeling really good and having pretty well designed bosses. It could use more abilities and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I would love to see a sequel building on this.
Me too. Yeah.
But it's fantastic. It looks great. It's really good.
Now something, this is how I feel, right?
What's that?
And I'm not knocking this down, but you know how you were like, I would love to see a sequel building on this? That really was one of my first feelings. Because this almost feels like, at the beginning of like Link to the Past or some other Zeldas like Ocarina of Time, where it's like, go get the 3 pendants.
Yeah.
This kind of felt like, go get the 3 pendants, and that took longer than you expected, and then they're like, you did it.
Yeah.
Here's the final battle.
Yeah. Death's Door also kind of feels like that. It was like, go get the 3 things. Well, it's over now.
Yes, it does. Yeah, 100%. For some reason, it hit me in a more soured almost way with Kena in a way that it didn't with Death's Door, but they both absolutely do it.
Right.
You are absolutely right. They're both like, go get the 3 pendants.
Yeah.
Good. We can now begin the end of the game.
I still can't believe this is their first game.
Yeah, they did a staggeringly good job with this, with Kena.
Yeah, no, I bought this. I was so scared. I figured it was going to be like every other indie game. And then the first level's like, hey, no, we want to be a video game. First and foremost, you just go play.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was so good. It feels like a PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah, I was really terrified it was going to be highly story focused and really just.
Yeah, because they come from the world of film
Yes.
and animation, and you expect that maybe it's going to be too cutscene heavy, maybe the gameplay is going to be underdeveloped. But no, it is really enjoyable.
Yeah, so that's really great. Really fantastic. I can't recommend it enough if you haven't beat it yet or played it yet. And then my number 2. I've been going back and forth on these all day, even. Like, it's still...
It's rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it's tough out here.
The top 2. So I have something else written down, but I'm going to go for number 2, Metroid Dread.
Oh, man.
Shit.
Oh, man.
I did
Reverse.
I did that with number 10. Death's Door was not on my top 10 when I came in here.
Oh, man.
What can I say that hasn't been said already? Metroid Dread is just a fantastically paced, excellent feeling Metroid game. Better feeling than any others. It still gives me a little bit of confusion even replaying it now of like where I'm supposed to go next. So I still get a little bit of that mystery angle to it. But then it's all just optimizing that run was a ton of fun that first week.
Yeah. No, I haven't had that much fun doing multiple playthroughs of a game over and over and over since like Resident Evil 3 and Mega Man 11.
Yes. And the boss fights are all great.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the only one that's even a little weak is that power generator one, just because it goes on a little bit too long. But even that is great.
I also appreciate, which hasn't come up yet, how much you can sequence break this game.
Oh yeah, I haven't gotten into that myself, but I would love to.
I just love hearing countless stories of, I tried to do it without space jump. I tried to do it without my left leg. Is somehow some of the sounds,
Right?
The sheer amount of times I look up a YouTube video of here's how the speedrunners deal with this boss. They know it's in that room, so they prepare the shine spark and shoulder check him immediately. Yes! It's the coolest.
It's dope.
Yeah, it's what a great game. Really, really masterpiece here. My number 1 though, SMT5.
Oh hell yeah!
You love to see it.
I've been waiting since Nocturne came out for this. Again, we had those 3DS entries. I looked at them and didn't care at all.
That's fucking fair.
Like it looked like such a step back that I had no interest. And then this comes out, I was like, yeah, I'm doing open world areas in a Shin Megami Tensei game, which is insane.
It is insane.
Yeah.
Just that level of exploring those, the Demon Fusion systems being so well done now, because I haven't touched it since Nocturne, really.
Right.
I played the Persona games, but they didn't even have the systems down this well where you can be like, okay, I want to fuse the demons. You can reverse demon compendium fusion and look at everything you can potentially get and what you'd have to buy automatically. I'm like, wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
In a mainline game, and I think apparently Strikers might have it. I think this is the only one that has that.
That's
where it's one button. Every combo.
Yeah, just show me everything I can make. Thank you.
God.
It feels so good. And then all the systems around building up Nahabino with the glory, like just being able to do flight upgrades to your main character, is really neat. Just this will get you a discount on the store. This will get you a discount on fusions. This will make it so you have a potential when you talk to a demon, they just give you money.
To speak to 4 also had that, but they did it way better here, where it's like you unlock the options by fighting something in the world instead of it just being an arbitrary thing you unlock as you progress. I think that was a much better choice.
Yeah, those big trees, you always want to hunt them down whenever you get to a new area. And a lot of the game, like outside, just I don't even care that much about what the story that's going on. It's just getting to a new area and seeing the map filled with things I want to do.
Yes, 100%. They did such a good job of that. And that's funny because, when Breath of the Wild came out, a lot of people were like, Breath of the Wild's the first open world game you feel like exploring. Like there's a joy to exploring. And this nails that too, where it's just, you're looking off in the distance. You're seeing interesting monsters and geography and stuff. Like you see a river, you want to go up that. You see this overpass on the highway that's crumbled, and you're like, is there something up there? You know, there's so much, and it's everywhere.
Yeah. You'll open an innocuous chest in that game, and they're like, here's one of the main character upgrades, and then that breaks your brain. Where you're like, that wasn't a special chest. That was the same one every item is in.
You need to go all of them.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. No, it makes it. There's nothing in the world I don't want to get. It's kind of ludicrous, except maybe random essences for monsters. Because at some point I'm like, okay, that's neat. I don't I'm not going to take the time to figure that out.
I don't need that. I got the one that makes me absorb 3 elements.
Yes. I mean, the essence system in general, being able to change your main character in that way, to customize him to more easily conquer foes. And then the way the turn-based combat works in general is so well fleshed out. It's ludicrous.
It's always been my favorite turn-based combat system ever.
And we've said all of this about this game, right?
Uh-huh.
And not a single person has brought up how superb, pristine, and excellent the demons all look.
Yes, that's another thing about it. Just like, again, they moved to Unreal.
Yeah.
They get a game out that looks amazing, and now we know those assets can be used for other stuff.
And it's on the Switch, and they did that. That is such an accomplishment.
Yeah, these guys don't have monoliths helping them.
That's true.
As far as we know. The fact that every single one of the newer design demons that aren't by Conoco get unique attacks, like all of them.
That mermaid attack was like the first one where I was like, holy shit.
And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones.
Even the returning Kaneko designs look really nice.
Yeah.
Like that's the best Nekomata has ever looked easily. Mm-hmm. Now she's got a weird smiling cat face. It's very funny.
Yeah.
That's so good.
This really blew me away. I don't even care that the end of the game doesn't feel quite done. It's like, it's fine. Come out next year or in 2 years with your definitive edition on bigger consoles. I'll buy it again. I'll do it again. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Oh God, that would be too much. It would be impossible to put that game down if it ran insanely well and also just loaded instantly.
Yeah.
This has been the Atlas strat.
Monkey sounds.
Yeah, this has been their strat since Nocturne came out. We got like the second reissue.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So if we see some crazy one where they integrate all the DLC and give us like a new final dungeon.
Mm-hmm. Big
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
Words. Exclamations.
Yeah. Very, very excited for the future of the series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's it for my list. So that's from 10 to 1. World of Demons, No More Heroes 3, Guilty Gear Strive, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Melty Blood, Type Lumina, Tales of Arise, Death's Door, Canna Bridge of Spirits, Metroid Dread, and SMT5.
That's a good list. I would like to know if I did runners up or extended my list, No More Heroes 3 would have been on it. But as I walk away, as I said during Bob's segment, please just ship it on anything else.
Yeah, no, it shows like how much worse a Switch problem that is, how much farther down my list it is. It almost got kicked off.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
SMT5 is still highly playable. Loads pretty fast when you're in one area.
I was going to say, they do a fantastic job of making loading between menus and demon fusions in the shop really fast for something that's on the Switch on Unreal Engine 4.
Oh, yeah. One of my only other complaints about SMT5.
Uh-huh.
Those demon fusion animation looks great. Way too long. Skipped it every time after the first one.
That's true. It does look immaculate.
Which
and it
sucks
is long as hell.
Because there's accidents, and I still don't know what it looks like because I've skipped every time. And then they're like, it fucked up. And I'm like, I wish I knew how it looked.
Yeah, that was my experience too. Okay. Well, we move to Mr. Feel. Start blasting.
Okay, first I'll talk about some runners up that were in consideration for the list, but didn't make it. Psychonauts 2. It just didn't hit it hit good, it didn't hit great.
Same.
Like, it looks neat, it has great performances from the characters. fucking terrible boss is atrocious.
Yeah.
And like I said on Big Thing to Mention, they sacrificed memorability for making levels no game journalist would bitch about.
Oh.
So like I've already forgotten most of the levels in that game where it's because it's like, but in the first game, which I haven't played in 15 years, it's like, yeah, I remember that fucking one part where there's like the parking lot full of fucking CIA snipers that you have to get a disguise to go through or they kill you instantly. Like there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that in Psychonauts 2. So like it's fading away.
Yeah.
Returnal controls fucking immaculately. Its combat is tight. Its gameplay loop is really tight. I played it in possibly the buggiest state imaginable. Also the story's real dumb. And I think it should have had like at least one or two more bosses.
The game's stability latches onto Feel's arm like a parasite.
Yeah, because it only has 4 bosses. I think it should have had at least one or two more.
He boots the game and it's malignant immediately.
He boots
Yeah,
it,
pretty much.
He boots it latches on, and now he takes damage from picking up items.
But see, this isn't that bad. KZ booted it. He had a critical malignancy and it broke his SSD.
Yeah, instead of lowering my health, it just lowered my SSD's compatibility.
Yeah, it just snapped an artifact you had.
No!
Tales of Arise. I really like Tales of Arise, but it just doesn't quite get there for me. I think it would have really helped if the story of that game wasn't quite so serious. Because it doesn't have like the goofy Tales party bouncing off each other. Well, it does in skits, but it's like, you guys were just talking about like genocide and slavery. I'm not sure I'm down for a funny skit about how Alphen ties a bunch of weights to his sword so he can train.
And yet,
like,
this is less of a tonal shift than Scarlet Nexus.
Yes!
Good Lord.
Forgot to put it in my list for some reason.
Weird.
Legend of Mana Remastered. I didn't want to put a remastered thing on it, but that's like the definitive remaster in my mind now, where it's like there's nothing. They didn't fuck anything up, and they made it better.
It shouldn't be such a high bar.
Yeah, somehow,
Weirdly enough, it is in 2021.
Not on the runner-up list. The Mass Effect Legendary Collection.
I wonder why.
I forgot about remasters entirely. I would have put the Final Fantasy ones on there, but yeah.
And the last runner-up, Resident Evil Village. I want a more action-oriented Resident Evil. If there was something I could do after shooting guys in this, it probably would have placed on this list.
Yeah, that's kind of why it didn't place for me. I kind of am coming from the same space.
I desperately need the element of, you shot this guy really accurately 2 or 3 times, so now you get to do a bunch of damage.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a really good feeling thing in any shooter, and boy, am I excited for RE4 remake.
So basically, we're on the same page. We just wanted it to become Breakdown, right?
That would have.
I still haven't played
I wanted to punch a werewolf.
Yeah, that's all any of us wanted going in, I think.
That would have been real dope.
But now the actual list. Number 10 is It Takes Two.
Okay.
I enjoyed It Takes Two quite a bit. It has great set pieces. You're constantly doing new things. The areas also look wildly different. Like there's no part of this where it's like, there's no point where it's like we ran out. Which is maybe a feeling that is becoming bizarrely rare in games nowadays. Controls really well. It's not that high because the story is fucking correct.
Yes.
It really is.
It's like a romance comedy from 1991 before they even came up with gimmicks for romance comedies.
Yes.
Like for the relation, like there's no resolution to the relationship problems. The relationship problems just stop.
Yeah.
Well, they worked on it. They're done now, so it's fine.
They found 2.
I like your version of the events a lot, Phil.
Also, it has Cody, so it can't place that high.
Yeah, no, it's a serious debuff.
Pulling the entire operation down.
Number 9, Death's Door. I was surprised how much I liked Death's Door. It's a great Zelda-like game. Has a really cool atmosphere, like a very somber atmosphere. It hits that perfect balance with the soundtrack. Where this is my new game to point to at, where I'm like, you can have your soundtrack be present and build atmosphere and not be like screaming electric guitars.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like screaming electric guitars, but there seems to be like weird in at least the Western side of the game industry where your soundtrack can be Doom Eternal or it can be like Assassin's Creed and no human being alive can think of a song from that if you put a gun to their head.
Yeah,
I'm trying, damn it.
for some reason there's just no in between. It's either Doom Eternal or atmospheric, almost cinematic. And it's like, no, you can have melodies and beautiful compositions that establish a mood and tone. And people might remember your music.
How is there not an Assassin's Creed main theme?
I think there was for Ezio.
I'm about to lie down.
That they pushed really hard. But I tried just now to think of the Assassin's Creed theme. Mm-hmm. And you know what entered my head?
Italian Spider-Man?
No, the Uncharted theme, and I started freaking out. I was like, wait a minute, that's Uncharted. Never mind.
If it makes you feel better, my brain went God of War. And I was like, no.
That's also where mine went. I started thinking, dude. Yeah.
They wish.
Yeah, they do.
But it has fantastic atmosphere. The combat's pretty fun, especially the bosses. I was quite enjoying. It's like, no, if you do this, you will always. I really like learning telegraphs and then doing the thing that lets me dodge the attack and then getting back in. I really like the grappling hook because it makes that even better. You can grapple onto the boss and zip right in, start hitting them again. It's not quite. It's the one thing keeping it from being way higher is this game needs some sort of map.
That would have helped. It's someone who did everything in the game. That would have helped.
That's what kept me from doing everything.
Because I know that it's a developer choice. Like, I get it. Like, no, Dark Souls doesn't have a map. We removed every fucking other thing from Dark Souls from this game, but let's leave in that part.
Yes.
But even like a basic, like, you could have like the crow drew this map, so it sucks. Mm-hmm. But like even that would have been preferred.
That would have been so good.
Because there are areas where I got lost, like in that castle and in the jungle, where it's like where you're going in and out of the cave. I'm like, where the fuck am I in relation to anything else?
Yeah.
That jungle may be the only part where I got lost, where I'm like, I can't grasp where I have to go.
See, for me, I felt like that was a part of the experience there, but I straight up Scooby-Doo hallwayed the beginning of the game and the witches, like, entrance as I kept fast traveling, not figuring out where was the thing I remember that I need to go back to now that I have the ability. And I just kept walking down the same hallway going, I did it again.
Yes.
I did it again.
Yep. Number 8, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's an immaculate super game. It looks better than probably every other video game ever made. Unless you're one of those people whose like game graphics are about shooting apples. It's placing pretty low though because it needs more arenas. It needs them.
Yes.
If you gave me if Insomniac was like, here's a $40 DLC that is a miniature version of Dreadlocked, but it's Rift Apart, I'd be like, okay.
Oh yeah,
Deadlocks.
How fucked up is it that if they came out with that feel, that could hit my game of the year this year?
Yeah,
Easy.
That's messed up.
I need that. All right. They bring back those old hosts that pretended to be ESPN style hosts for a real game.
You're totally right though. It could have placed higher on my list too if it just had more arena.
Number 7, Neo: The World Ends With You. I really loved the characters of this game. I think by the end of it, they were all really developed in a way that impressed me. I don't know if I'm just used to games mostly starring teenagers not having any nuance whatsoever. I'm very pointedly looking at you, Persona 5. But it's nice, like, wow, these characters keep developing for the whole game. You don't do their chapter of the game and then they are like frozen. They go into the carbonite prison and can no longer change. Like some of the characters, and then I'm like, no, you're like in my list for like really well realized characters. This is genuinely impressive. And then it still has characters like Minami Moto. I was like, how many fucking syllables is in that motherfucker? But then you have characters like him where he's just bizarre and wanders in and out of the story like a homeless man. and then the payoff is like somebody brings him back to life and he says hello in binary and just leaves and they get mad. It has fantastic music also, and the combat makes my brain itch. because there's like you can just juggle these enemies and they can't do shit, but it's dependent on you being good at juggling them. So it feels really good, and also I chain 35 fights and my drop rate goes to 75,000 times.
Yeah, it feels so good.
Yeah, it's real like brain drug. That's number 7. Number 6, Atelier Ryza 2. Atelier Ryza 1 made my top games of the list in 2020. This is a pretty decent upgrade. They like added verticality to the areas, and so you can like swim underwater and climb shit. They like polished all the mechanics. It now has a much more interesting setting too, because in the first game you're kind of on like your shitty little island, and then you like explore around the coast after you get to the mainland. But in this, like, you're in the capital city basically, and you explore all around it, and there's some really great areas in it. It has kind of like a fillery plot. Like the plot sort of has the energy of like the Orange Islands in Pokemon.
Ooh, that's actually kind of exciting.
Where it's like you're dealing with a problem that is sort of related to the problem from the first game, but is like sort of distinct, but it's also the same. So it feels a little bit like they just redid the story almost. And it really feels like they're setting up for the third game, which they basically confirmed in cast comments you can unlock in the unlockables. Like, yeah, I'm really excited to play this character again in the third game. Please make him a playable character that time. But yeah, highly recommended. Alongside Ryza 1. Number 5, No More Heroes 3. Sometimes a game doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes you can just hit somebody and they explode like a blood balloon. Sometimes you can repeatedly bully them with all your death glove powers while cutting them into pieces.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good.
The game also has like a bunch of great characters and scenes. Yeah, the combat's not super deep, but it doesn't really need to be fun to me.
Yeah,
because like the spectacle and frankly the game feel of both things go sideways and then you slice them in half and they explode. It's like it hits that thing that I always want in an action game where it's like the world ended.
Yeah, you always talk about it.
It's like you hit them and the world ends, and I have to pay respects for that. I would very much enjoy. Please put this on something else with maybe a little bit more content.
Please, God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Number 4, Metroid Dread. Metroid is finally something that Metroid fans can say is even close to being Castlevania's equal.
I thought this, but I didn't say it.
because I'm sorry. Metroid didn't really have anything to hang on after the Igavanias started coming out, because it's like the Castlevanias have the RPG elements and the loot, but Metroid had 5 missiles.
But what if it had 70 of those 5 missiles?
What if 5 more missiles?
but this turns this is like, okay, Metroid is the more action focused of the two. It has really great boss fights that are really cool. It has a stunningly good story for a Metroid game. It tricked me. So like Now part of that was not Ninja Theory, Mercury Steam.
The other one.
Part of that was the other that has the same energy but was rescued, unlike Ninja Theory, which is like, do you think like Ninja Theory and like Mercury Steam are like when you split up twins and give one to a good parent and one to an evil parent?
Oh no.
Yes, but don't tell anyone.
But yeah, like Metroid Dread is undeniably the best Metroid game. Like if that bothers you, I'm sorry that facts upset you.
Man, you came in with guns when you came to talk about Metroid.
Like you should be happy that you don't have to clench your teeth and grit and like push back tears and tell people Super Metroid is the best Metroid game anymore.
I appreciate that their version, this new radical vision for Metroid, is really true to the core of what Metroid is and not Lords of Shadow. And I think they should appreciate that too.
It also runs perfectly and has great sound design and cool areas. And it's like, wow, they really blew it out of the water. It's when they announced Metroid was back, I was like, I'm sure it'll probably be okay. I didn't expect it to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Number 3, Lost Judgment. It's consistently hysterical. It has a fantastic soundtrack and sound design. The combat feels really good when you're doing it, and the story is really cool with a great cast of characters. Like it really ticks every single box for me. And while I did like Yakuza 7, I'm really glad that the actions that we now have, like the action, it's just split into 2 franchises now. So we still get that action combat, especially since this like feels like a big upgrade from the first Judgment and Yakuza 6 in that regard. Number 2, Deltarune Chapter 2. This is the funniest video game ever made. It's legitimately hard for me to consider a game this has like the joke density of the old Simpsons.
Yes, actually.
Where it's like every 45 seconds there's the funniest joke you've ever seen in your life. And then it keeps that going for like 5 hours. The music is insane, along with the sound design, because of course when your head developer is also the composer, there's a lot of focus put on sound design and when things kick in, which is really important. Also, the combat's a lot of fun. There's something about what Toby Fox came up with this, where it's like you do your RPG choices and then you're dodging Danmaku. So there's this period of it's almost like how Platinum described the first Bayonetta game, where you had the moment where you dodged and like the climax was released. Mm-hmm. Like you survive the wave of bullets and then like oh, I survived this round.
Yeah, I really feel that, especially during that super boss of okay, I can breathe. I did it.
I can take as much time as I want to prepare myself for the second volley.
Yeah, it's like, how do I prepare my characters? One of them is bleeding.
Also really great characterizations. One of the best casts. Like you're gonna see these characters forever. Probably even more than the Undertale characters you see forever. I feel like already, without even that much of the game out, Deltarune is like beginning to overpower Undertale in this regard because all the writing is so much stronger.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
It's like Undertale wins best characters and writing the year it comes out. Then this comes out and they also win best improved while also winning best characters and writing again. But number 1, Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. I'm so full of closure, yum. I'm gonna be real. The destination does actually matter, and sticking to landing is unbelievably important. If you fuck up in the 11th hour of your story, like you're losing 2 points no matter what.
Yeah.
Like you it doesn't make your thing bad automatically, but you have like been knocked out of the pantheon. And Endwalker does not fuck up. It sticks the landing really hard in basically every single way it needed to. A recurring theme of these top 3 games are they all have insane soundtracks. And in any other year, any of them could have taken best soundtrack for me. They've also just gotten really good at making this type of content where everything you're actually doing is fun. Like when you're fighting bosses and stuff, the things you now have to contend with, like the snakes, are fun. Like it's not, doesn't feel painful to die to those.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, I fucked up. Like my spatial recognition is not good enough.
Yeah.
Because you understand very clearly what's going to happen. They put up a big sign saying platform rotate. It's like, oh God, where do I have to stand in space? Oh God.
Well, everyone's running that way. I think I'll go the opposite direction.
And then sometimes you're right and all of them dying. You're like, well, now what the fuck do I do?
That happened once and I was really scared.
You're describing Mario Party. I don't.
Yes.
That is how a lot of mechanics in Final Fantasy 14 feel, is like you're playing the Mario Party mini game where the mushrooms go down into the water.
Yes.
Oh, God, yes.
That was the first thing I thought when you sent me that clip during Game of the Year of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see.
They're like, do that while maintaining auto attacks and buttons.
And it's just like, I am hopeful for Final Fantasy 16 to hit this level of quality, because people who are repelled by the MMO aspect deserve something on this level. Like Final Fantasy as a franchise deserves something on this level. It's been a while.
It's not like it's been 2 generations straight or something.
No way.
It's not like the last thing I would say could hang with this was Final Fantasy 10 from 21 years ago.
Yeah, I think there's some fans of Final Fantasy 13. I am one of them, honestly, of 13 specifically.
Look,
but I don't think anyone's going to say that was a fucking grand slam of a Final Fantasy game.
No. It's not often that a Final Fantasy game comes out and me, as a fan of most of them, go, I will think about this one forever.
Yeah, it's one of those. So like, of course it gets number 1. If you become one of those, I have to put you at the top of my list, where it's like, I'll just remember something while I'm driving and be like, not right now, I'm fucking doing things. I can't be sad right now.
Oh.
Because I have the soundtrack on my phone for when I'm at the gym, and I'm like, no, not this one. Skip. This is the opposite of keeping up the high energy, actually.
That guy's sobbing on the elliptical.
Yeah, we don't need that. I'm pretty sure that gets the lunk alarm pulled on you at Planet Fitness. It's like that guy's crying. Hit the toxic masculinity alarm.
You're like, please give me the 12-minute long battle track instead. That's amazing.
So yeah, number 1, Endwalker, and going from number 10 to number 1, just for ease. It Takes Two, Death's Door, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Neo: The World Ends With You, Atelier Ryza 2, No More Heroes 3, Metroid Dread, Lost Judgment, Deltarune Chapter 2, and Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker.
Okay, well, now that we've gotten these all in, we can go tabulate it, and then we'll figure out we'll get the sorting hat.
Yep.
It'll tell us which game is racist, and then we'll move on to the next segment.
Yeah. I'd like
I like, because that implies there is nothing to do with how we scored these. It'll be a random list of top 10.
I don't know why, but the only Slytherin is It Takes Two.
Well, that's fucking weird.
I don't know why. Also, thank you, Field. This was a great list. I especially agree with your top 3.
Yeah,
which happened by accident.
Yeah, once KZ got through it, I was like, uh-oh.
Once Deltarune snuck its way into 2, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, because I knew what was number 1 was going to be. I was like, what the fuck is number 2 going to be? What the fuck is he playing?
So we're going to sort that, and we'll be right back. So we put all the nominations into the Math-O-Matic, so that way you could figure out weighted scoring for where it placed on each of our lists, etc., congregating all of these numbers into one completely maths-driven list, which I will read, and then we will get into sorting manually with the human spirit. Once again, this is just numbers. Number 1, Metroid Dread. 2, Shin Megami Tensei. 5, 3, Death's Door, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart at 4. 5, Final Fantasy XIV, Endwalker, Deltarune Chapter 2 at 6. 7th is Lost Judgment. 8th is Kena, Bridge of Spirits. 9th is Neo Twowie. 10th is No More Heroes 3. 11th is Story of Seasons, Pioneers of All of Town. 12th is Returnal. 13th is Tales of Arise. 14th is Atelier Ryza 2. 15th is Melty Blood Type Lumina. 16th, Pokemon Unite. 17th, keep in mind a lot of these are tied, Resident Evil Village. Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars in 18th. 19th, Guilty Gear Strive. 20th, World of Demons. And in 21st place, It Takes Two. That is all of the games. We have nominated 21 games across 4 people.
Okay. I feel like we've done worse.
There have been years with more variety, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't gone back and
wonder.
But we need to start manually sorting this into some sort of top 10 list.
Mm-hmm.
Now look, I know Returnal isn't making it on this list. I know this. No one's going to hear me out on that one.
I will hear out your argument for number 10.
We don't have to talk about Returnal right now if you don't want to.
What do you want to talk about?
I'm willing to shoot Resident Evil Village in the head now because I feel like there's no chance on that one.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's not even the highest of the high on my list, so I'm fine shooting that in the head.
Yeah, I mean that thing's really, really far down on this list, so that.
Yeah, I feel like we could probably cut out most of those ones from the bottom of the list. Like,
I'm not fighting for Atelier Ryza or It Takes Two.
Yeah, and I won't fight for Tales of Arise. I could see.
Okay, so we're talking about taking 13 and down off, just removing Tales of Arise and lower off.
Yeah.
Let me.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
As much as I'd like to fight Melty Blood up, it's not happening. It will never happen.
That.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is maybe leave Melty Blood and nothing else.
Yeah, a bunch of arrows rained down and all of them were killed.
Except for Melty Blood. How strange.
But
yes.
well, Aoko is the strongest magician in history, so of course she could survive all the arrows.
Yes. Yeah, I
moment.
like Voice of Cards a lot. I'm happy I said it aloud in a podcast, and that's good enough.
Okay. So currently we have a top 13 list, which makes it sound like this should be easy.
No. It's an exclusive club, and there are 4 bouncers here. Oh boy.
Yeah. I'm eyeing everyone on the list. I'm looking up and I'm looking down. Look, all I'm saying is, I love Returnal.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason I put Story of Seasons above it. I want that on this goddamn
Now,
list.
I feel like
I think that's fair.
I feel like from a moral standpoint, and no year when someone says this is their number 1, does it not appear in the top 10 anywhere.
Yeah,
I feel like if you do that, you're allowed to fire someone. Like, in no universe should that be allowed.
like most of me understanding Returnal is it went around to all my co-hosts' house at night and stabbed their babies. And I have to,
And I
at
was
some
in the
point,
hospital. Everyone else shook it off.
I have to admit that at some point, morally, I can't be okay with that. So I understand, but Pioneers of All of Town is fucking superb.
I am willing to replace one game you shouldn't play on the Switch with another game you shouldn't play on the Switch. And in this case, that one has a version that isn't the Switch version.
Yeah. Yeah, see, this isn't fair for No More Heroes 3.
It's not.
If that had a version on anything else, then it would just be like...
It'd be like a solid lock at 5 or 4 probably for us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
God.
It's just, it eats so much ass when you're driving across the open world. The racing stuff, which should be fun, starts being miserable for some of the tracks because some of them are really demanding.
You know when people bring up the excuse of no, it runs bad because it's supposed to. It's a part of the game. You know those things are wrong.
That's the worst cope.
Like, guys, this game runs bad. It doesn't, edit an echoey fart into the music. There's a difference.
Maybe there's like a story reason why so many of the map is read out, and they're like, no, we finished all of that. The Switch can't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I was gonna make that argument too. That No More Heroes 3.
Yeah, that didn't make it above like number 7 or so on any of our lists. So I think it should easily be
it made
dropped.
it to Feels 5 and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
your 9, and that's it. It didn't hit mine or KZ's list because
I honorable mentioned that.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of strong contenders, but I think everyone's right. I think we should drop No More Heroes 3, which sucks because that game's content viewed in a vacuum.
Yes.
Story is immaculate and one of the best endings we've ever seen.
Yes.
But
No More Heroes 3, when you assume a frictionless vacuum, is in fact one of the greatest games ever made. Unfortunately, we don't live in a frictionless vacuum.
I wish. Sometimes.
Okay, so I'm gonna drop that. Everyone's signing off on that.
yes.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
We now have a top 12. 2 things need to go. As I said, I understand Returnal. That game, experience-wise, is so amazing. It really is just one of the best feeling third-person shooters ever. But it stabbed everyone's babies, and it's really hard to contend with. Does anyone have their nominees for what to take off this list? Bob, when you look at this list, what do you think?
I mean, to me, Returnal is the weakest of these.
It is a strong fucking list.
Yeah.
It makes me upset because I'm like, I had a lot of problems with it, but I don't want to hurt it. I feel like I've been mean enough.
Yeah, and obviously I feel like it should be on a top 10, but
Yeah, other ones I can think of are like ones I haven't experienced enough of, like Neo 2. I assume it keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
The visuals are
Yeah,
real
it
bad,
doesn't
but other
die.
than that, then I'm sure it's fine. And they both of them
But
have it pretty high on their list.
let me put it this way. If it came down to it between Returnal and Melty Blood,
Uh-huh.
which of these two do people individually think should stay? Bob,
Melty Blood.
KZ.
This is fucked up. You're an asshole. Returnal.
Feel.
Melty blood.
Fuck, that didn't solve shit.
I'm
I know.
I'm sorry. Melty Blood, I'm like, both of these games are cool. And a lot of the value I have for Melty Blood is it would be really funny if it made the list. God damn it.
Yeah, Returnal is one of those where like I understand it's hugely important to you, so I'm fine with it being on the list. It's just
Yeah, but
now we need to find out what to get rid of instead.
Yeah, no, this is a nightmare. This went from 0 to 60 nightmare. Thanks, Matt, for getting us to the nightmare part way faster.
Oops.
And to be fair, if I had done my due diligence and played the story mode of Guilty Gear Strive and thrown 30 hours into it, I would have a more nuanced opinion than that game is really fun to play against each other.
Yes.
Because I did enjoy it. I do enjoy parts of it. But I enjoyed Melty Blood more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit.
God, I hate
Okay, I'm about to do the loopiest fucking shit in the world.
What's up?
Through number mathery, we can all agree Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart landed higher than it should have.
Yes, it did.
It is
Yes,
currently
it did.
it is currently at number 4, and we can all agree on that basic agreement, right?
Oh yeah, that can go down at least 3 slots.
that can go. Yeah, at least.
I've been
I would be
waiting the whole
fine putting
time.
it at 9 or 10 even.
What if it went down exactly 7?
Where would that?
If you
put
want
it?
to shoot it in the head, I'm fine with shooting it in the head.
Yeah,
We always get one.
We always do one where we just throw it out the window.
Yeah, remember when we threw out Resident
Evil
Evil 2
2, yeah.
remake?
Yeah,
They're always the one where like everybody says this is an 8, but there's this thing that 2 people say is a 10, and that's worth more. So goodbye.
Yeah, that's the thing.
right.
I enjoyed this video game. It was solid. I can't think of a moment that's a standout moment synonymous with that game.
Right, and here's the thing. As an outsider looking in, one of the only games, there are only 2 games I could easily put this above in this list, okay? Ratchet & Clank, the only things this could place above for me, based on everything I've consumed about these, would be either Neo 2 or Lost Judgment. But I think it's clear that they're very strong on how they feel about Lost Judgment.
right.
Yep.
It was top 3 for both of them.
Right.
And yeah, it's
So it's an absurd farce to assert that Ratchet & Clank is better than that if they feel that strongly.
yeah. Ratchet & Clank did not make it that high on our list. It just happened to be on every
no,
list.
it
so
was on everybody's fucking list.
It just
Yeah.
collectively got points. It wasn't on my list until this morning.
Yeah, it's for most of us, it's hovering around 5, right? It goes 5. What is it? One moment.
Goes
It actually
6,
goes
9, 7, 8. So it doesn't even crack the top 5 for anybody.
Yeah, so it's just barely sitting below 5 for most of us. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah.
yeah. So shoot it in the
Or
head.
6, 9, 7, and 8. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel on this because it's sort of falling into the same zone for No More Heroes 3 for me, where it feels like not that many people put it. I mean, Field put No More Heroes at 5. I don't want to undersell that, but it feels like Ratchet was a straggler for most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it had those extra arenas.
If there was anything to sink my teeth into after playing the game, other than being upset the bouncer was held back for a New Game Plus,
yes.
like I want to use the bouncer at the end of a normal playthrough. Like it's supposed to be the payoff there, not go do New Game Plus.
I'm not going to finish a New Game Plus in a Ratchet game. I did it once with Deadlock and never again.
I think I did do the New Game Plus to get everything. I can't remember, but it's like I don't want to do an entire playthrough with the bouncer, and now I have to arbitrarily limit myself to when I think would be appropriate. That's insane. Yeah, that and the Rhino.
Yeah.
So we should clearly bring it down.
Yeah.
Let's just drop it. Let's just drop it off the list.
Yeah, why don't we do a vote for killing it and making it 11th place?
Okay. Feel.
Kill.
Bob.
Kill.
KZ.
Yes! Kill!
Okay, well then we'll drop that to 11th place. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, our 11th place game. Please no bully.
I'm sorry, it lost the Electoral College.
No, this makes any sense at all.
We basically averted the situation of the candidate everyone settled for.
Yes.
We tallied up the votes and somehow It Takes Two won again.
What? Insert the Jeb Bush image, but it's for Cody.
No! Someone make that! Someone make that edit!
Oh man, that's wrong.
Or the book, which is the evil ending.
That's true. That's true. Okay,
Oh, man.
so we have a couple slots at our top 10 because nothing has re-entered, but things have left. We have a gap in 4th place and 10th place. Obviously, those aren't exactly in those spots, but the fact of the matter is we got 3 games that aren't on this list in this top 10. Story of Seasons, Pioneers of All of Town, Returnal, and Melty Blood. And only 2 slots.
I I think Story of Seasons should automatically walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people seem to agree
The
that
IP.
that you can all give me that.
Yes.
I have just to be clear, I wanted to make sure I wasn't a crazy person coming in here with this game, and that the larger consensus from people who are really into these games was, no, that's a bad one. So I got other people I know who play the Story of Seasons games to check it out, and they're like, no, this is superb. This isn't even close. It is excellent. This is so much better than the Friends of Mineral Town. And I'm like, okay, good. I'm not insane. Like, this is as good as I think it is, which is nuts.
It looked very appealing. I like certain games where you're building up places, you're farming, and you're getting upgrades, you're getting a better shovel, that type of stuff.
Yeah, they just did an excellent fucking job.
Yeah. So I can understand the appeal that's coming into this game. Oh no, we're approaching that conversation again.
Yeah, I'm closing a gap, moving things up.
What if there wasn't a 10th place?
Hey, that makes me feel better. Okay. Is there anything other people see on this list that they go, Melty Blood deserves it more than blank?
Let me look at this again.
No, I don't think so.
Now, I'm a sicko.
Yeah.
I don't expect people to empathize with me.
Yep.
Kana's my number 7.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one step up from the bottom of my list because I only had a top 8.
Right.
I could absolutely see a world in which Melty Blood could get on here and Kana could drop off. But I do really enjoy Kana. Bob had it as his number 3.
Yeah, that's why I've looked at it and went, no, that's a do not touch territory.
Yeah, I'm fine with only if Bob.
I'm just moving down a slot or so, but I'm not cool with just no, it's not even on here.
Yeah, no, that thing's on the stove. Leave it alone.
See, if Theo and KZ didn't have the same top list, I would draw a parallel.
I'm sorry. It was literally by accident.
I'm like, yeah, that would be like if, both of them have the exact same 3. I can't even make a parallel here.
The entire time feels like getting closer to his 2. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, once he said Lost Judgment, I'm like...
When he did that, I lit up like, oh, shit.
I just took that moment to go, wow, Shin Megami Tensei 5's not on his list. Like, that
I only got to
surprised
play
me.
like 10 hours of it, so I didn't feel comfortable. It seems really good, and I'm excited to play the rest of it, but it was just like, I'm going to beat every game that takes less than 150 hours.
Yeah.
So I have a more, complete view of the year before I go. Like, did anybody here play Persona 5 Strikers?
Not nearly enough.
No.
Not
was
at all.
one of the 2 games that got...
It's sitting here wrapped in front of me.
Tell me about it. Same here. It's right fucking over there. But the Persona 5 Strikers was... I had to skip that because there wasn't time. And I spent the time on Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, but you didn't spend 35 hours on Psychonauts 2 that you need to finish.
No, but
Persona.
I spent like 4 to 6.
Yeah.
And I could have thrown that much more time into Shin Megami Tensei 5 or into Persona 5 Strikers to feel it out.
I spent 8 months going, I still haven't started Persona 5 Strikers or Bravely Default 2.
Yeah, Bravely Default seemed really cool, and then I didn't get to play it, and it got brought to the PC. I'm like, well, what am I doing? I'm an idiot.
Yeah, that same thing happened to me, except I played some of Monster Hunter Rise, but not a lot of it, and then I got busy, and then the release year got worse.
Okay, so Bob's not going to let go of Kana.
Yeah, I'd rather have Kana on the list than Melty Blood, unfortunately.
Yeah, that much makes sense. Because Kana's 30 slots higher for you.
Yeah.
And it's on my list because I think Kana's great. So it really is just coming down to Because I'm looking at this, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we're dropping any of these top 9.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it'll get violent.
So I think this is, since there's only one slot left, we have to do the vote of Melty Blood versus Returnal. Wait, we already did
we already did that.
Yeah, we in fact
We're
did that, but
so
you want to do it
fucked.
again? Maybe people
Sure.
changed.
Sure, some people definitely changed their mind. KZ, go.
Oh, fuck. Melty Blood.
Feel.
Melty Blood.
Hey, Bob.
Hey,
How's it going?
it's all right.
Oops, I dropped $1,000. Can you pick that up and keep it if you let me have Returnal?
My vote is for Melty Blood, obviously, but I understand if Dan, you want, like, I know how important this game is to you. If you want on the list, I think that I can accept that because it's 10th place. This isn't exactly
Glorious.
I understand. It meant a lot to you.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, we shouldn't drop Kana. That's Bob's number 3 as we're talking about shooting my number 3.
You're right. I changed back to Returnal.
Oh no.
I would be willing to enter Neo Tui into the cutting conversation, but that game's a miracle.
I would not be willing to enter that into the conversation.
And also KZ wouldn't be willing to enter, but it's like if people really loved Melty Blood's story.
I love it, but it's not a lot, but it's
and then it came back, 20 years later after everybody thought it was fucking dead forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm fine with letting Dan have this. It's 10th place.
Uh-huh.
It's clearly very important to him.
I like both of these games. Like, I enjoy all of the Melty Blood I played. I've enjoyed some of the Returnal that I played. It just comes down to, it's like, I don't want to hurt anyone. This is hard.
I don't want to be self-centered
Yeah.
and put Returnal on the list, but not put Melty Blood, even though Melty Blood's your 6 and Returnal's my 3. Like, I don't want to do that, right?
Yeah, I'm like the only person who put Melty Blood up here at all. So I totally get it. I totally understand it being cut.
Yeah, but I'm also the only person who put Returnal up here, even though it did get some, like, honorable mentions, which I guess counts for something. At least Melty Blood didn't stab everyone's SSD. Is like the thing I'm wrestling with, where I think Returnal's fucking excellent, but Melty Blood didn't stab everyone's.
Yeah, Melty Blood didn't require a 3-hour chunk of your time to play once for the first 6 months.
Yeah, but Melty Blood still doesn't have Neko Arc yet.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
That's very true.
This is true hell with it being, it was on one person's list each.
Yeah.
Like, this is truly the
Yeah,
CBT part of our list right now.
Yeah, most of that variety fell down to the lower parts, just mathematically, where, like,
Yeah.
Resident Evil Village, Strive,
Yeah.
World of Demons, It Takes Two, Rise.
A lot of variety was things that didn't score terribly high,
Right.
like on individuals.
Okay, Bob.
What's up?
You'll forgive me then?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
It's absolutely fine. I don't like the game at all, but I really do. I see it. It is important.
Yeah, you actually traded it in, didn't you?
Oh yeah, immediately.
Holy shit! I thought I disliked it.
This is how I
genuinely hated that.
Oh shit! This whole time I'm like, I'm the one that hates this the most. No, turns out no, not at all.
This was how I remembered that, Bob.
Yeah.
I went to play it on your PS5 because we did the wife swap.
Oh my god.
Yes.
And I go, it's not here.
Where is
It's
it?
not even licensed to your one, Bob. And I have to dig into my own collection with the verification and tell it to download. What do you mean this game's 53 gigs? Oh, right. The future.
My mind is blown. I was like, he probably thinks that was lame, and now it's all coming together. All the pieces are pushing in when he's like, yeah, I struggled to play anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's a lot of thing Bob's hates. Like,
Yeah, it's like bad roguelike mechanics, a story that literally is repulsive.
I argue the story's really cool until they fucking ruin that. Because even still, I go back into the game and I'm listening to the story and I'm experiencing it. And I'm like, I'm just going to retcon the ending.
Yeah, you can actually make it better if you skip all the cinematics. That's what I did when I beat it again.
Cool. That's a nice life hack.
It is.
There's some cool imagery.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just, I'm taking this dude out with the Hollow Seeker, having an okay time.
Okay. Sorry, Bob.
No, it's good.
Okay.
No one's happy about
I'm
this.
gonna read what the current order for the top 10 list is, and then we'll start shuffling things around accordingly. Number 1's Metroid Dread. Number 2 is Shin Megami Tensei 5. Number 3 is Death's Door. Number 4 is Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. Number 5 is Deltarune Chapter 2. Number 6 is Lost Judgment. Number 7 is Kena, Bridge of Spirits. Number 8, Neo Twowie. Number 9, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. And number 10, Returnal. You know, there was a part of me, Bob.
Yeah.
I went, if I let Bob get Melty Blood on the number 10, then no one can ever question me about this list because the fucking Returnal wasn't even on it. You think it's my list?
I just thought about last year where you got lit up with holes, and I'm like, I feel like you should win.
I mean, that's the thing where I understand a lot of the stuff I play isn't always going to place, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think Metroid Dread being that high makes sense.
Yes.
I think I want to hear an argument for Neo Twowie. Not going to 9th.
Let me see here.
Because it's currently at 8th.
I like that placement for it. Looking at everything here, I'm willing to let it live there, but it takes a gameplay style that was predominantly a touch-based thing. You're looking at two screens on the good version of that game, and they adapted it into an actual fun 3D action game that you can use it with a controller, and everything actually feels properly and intuitive. It runs fine. The story it presented was really, really solid with really good character work, some fun like gameplay gimmicks between like going through time to correct different things, some decent like puzzle stuff through that, and just the addictive gameplay loop. I feel like you could also fall into the exact same hole me and Field did of going, I'm gonna sit on this street corner, gonna drop my level as low as I can go and go as hard a difficulty as I can just to get insane drop rates, so that I can just get every piece of clothing in this game because they give you different stats and stuff. I just feel like in terms of an RPG, they absolutely nailed it. And from a character writing standpoint, they went above and beyond what I was kind of expecting. I felt like it was going to come up short, especially given how long it's been since the last game, that it would feel really surface level. And you get that read in the beginning of the game, but by the end, those characters change in a lot of ways that I appreciated.
Okay.
So I love it a lot, but I'm not trying to get it up really high. I could.
Yeah, I'm fine
sitting.
with it at 8. Like, it's just the writings, especially, really just fucking floored me with like the original. Didn't feel this way about the original, but also in that you have fewer characters that are together much less.
Yeah,
it's almost like they looked at the format of the first one and was like, this is stupid. and then made a conscious decision to change the format for the second game.
That's a really good thing to do.
Yeah. The original was it's the main character and a partner, and that stuff shuffles at times. This is you are a team that gets big, and then that means there are multiple other teams with other characters. So there's a much larger ensemble cast, and it's I feel like handled better than I like this a lot more from a story perspective than the original, and the gameplay, it kind of kicks the shit out of the original for me.
Okay, so then it sounds like everyone's pretty happy with it, or it feels happy with it being at 8th. Bob wasn't the hottest on the game, so he probably feels that, you know,
Yeah,
it's
I
the
mean,
region for it.
Right, that's fine to me.
Yeah, I won't fight for it to go any higher than 8. I feel like 8's good.
So
Yeah, it's where it lives for me.
here's what I'm saying here.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to turn my gaze away from 7 through 10. Okay.
All right.
And I'm about to make some fucked up deals. I'm going to try to make some fucked up deals. And Bob, I need your back on this.
What do you want?
I will allow Death's Door to fall from 3rd
Okay.
if you put Deltarune Chapter 2 above Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker.
I'm down with that. I'll make that decision.
This seems random, but I'm okay with it.
What's your reasoning for this?
My reasoning is I really like everything about Undertale and Deltarune Chapter 2 that I've experienced. And for me personally,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14 gets that MMO debuff.
Yeah, I know.
That is literally it.
I'm down with that. It was hard for me to decide my own order. There was many times where Deltarune Chapter 2 was above it because it gave me brain disease. So I am willing to make this deal.
So how would this put this currently?
Well, Deltarune would be 3rd
Okay.
for now. Like, we could talk about it moving higher, but for now, what we're talking about is making Deltarune 3, Death's Door, and then Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker.
I'm fine with Death's Door being right under Final Fantasy 14.
That's where I'm at. I don't feel good about Death's Door being above it in that shuffle. Just what feels said.
So you want Death's Door to go to 5th,
Yes.
Deltarune to
just
take
Death's Door and
3rd.
Deltarune switch places.
I'm fine with Deltarune passing 14 because you find you find all the stuff in Deltarune more appealing because look at them.
Yeah.
Look at everything that we've described about that, and it, if an MMO is not your thing, of course this is a fun. You can drop in. It's a 5-hour experience that's joyous. But yeah, I'd be fine with swapping them, but only if it's only if 14's above Death's Door for me.
Okay. I think it's farcical to talk about this engagement involving any of the top 2, so we'll limit it to the scope of what we talked to. Bob, how do you feel?
I can live with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I understand. I don't think that we're moving FF14 anywhere.
Oh, I don't want it to bomb any lower, no.
Yeah.
Like, the lowest I would ever put that is fucking number 5.
Yeah, because that's 2 number 1s on
Right, no, yeah.
There's no...
In what world would a number 1 end up at 10th? Just kidding.
At no point did I ever expect it to be this high for me or for multiple people, and will likely never happen again.
Yeah, I feel like following up on this is going to be really difficult.
This is literally... This is the end of 6 expansions worth of content and bringing that in.
Maybe God forbid, when we're doing this in 2032, we might have something to talk about again.
Yes, that's the only scenario where that's going to happen again. This was their end game moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Only across a 40-hour video game.
Okay. So we'll have Deltarune and Death's Door switch places. Give me one moment.
I can't think about Deltarune because I just smile. I'm just like, you crazy.
Dan, I would be open
Uh-huh.
to Kana and Story of Seasons switching.
You're talking about 7th being occupied by Story of Seasons?
Yeah. Of course, we probably still need to talk about that moving, but it seemed like they were okay with Neo Toei staying at 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm fine with it freezing at 8.
Yeah, sure. You can lock that.
I mean, of course, that's how I feel I gave it my game of the year.
Right.
It's like, hey, would you like this briefcase filled with money?
I'm like, is it the $1 million case? And Bob just smiles. Yeah. And of course, like, as we constantly say, because we have to stress this, like, this is a game of the year list. This is Chad's.
Yeah.
In no world does being the 9th best game of 2021 look bad on you.
Yeah, this is filled with chads, and honestly, I feel like for me, this was the strongest year that we've done this. For me, there was just so many really good things for me. So it's like, yeah, I'm sure every one of these anything that I didn't play is also pretty tight.
Okay. I'm looking at this and I'm trying to see how I feel. I'm going to read it off for the audience so they can keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, number 1, Metroid Dread. Number 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Number 3, Deltarune Chapter 2. Number 4, Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. Number 5, Death's Door. Number 6, Lost Judgment. Number 7, Story Seasons Pioneers of Poot. Number 8, Neo Twowie. Number 9, Kena Bridge of Spirits. And number 10, Returnal. Weirdly enough, this seems correct.
Yeah,
I think
this is looking pretty solid.
Right?
like for me, I put Metroid Dread above Shin Megami Tensei 5. So for me, it makes perfect sense for it to be locked in.
I feel like Metroid Dread's one that we can all agree on. Like,
Yeah,
it was really high ranking for each of us.
It's one that we can all agree on. But it was also the type of thing where I'm like, Bob, if you want it, we can have that. We can join together in the great Shin Megami Tensei 5 filibuster.
See,
because I've been thinking about it for the past 5 minutes.
Here's the thing. I started going down that path of maybe enough people ranked Mega 10.5 high enough because Bob gave it as number 1.
Right.
And KZ gave it as number 4 and I gave it number 5. It's not even on Feel's list.
Yeah.
But that's only because I didn't get time to play it.
Yeah.
From what I played, is like this probably would have cracked the top 5.
But what I'm trying to say is like Metroid Dread got a number 2, 2 number 2s, a number 4 and a number 7. Like that's really high up.
It is. Yeah.
Now, I said this 10 million times already. Mega 10.5's amazing.
Yes.
And fucking giving games a chance is just an hour of me gushing.
Yes.
It's so fucking superb, but I also feel that way about Metroid.
Oh, I feel it. I had these coming to God moments with both of these games. I would posit the argument, Metroid Dread is fantastic. It's incredible. I think about some of those bosses, the way they handle cutscenes, a lot of stuff they do superbly. SMT5 did something with its game that I did not know I wanted, and then gave it to me. I wasn't asking for open world exploration in a Shin Megami Tensei game. I go in there so I can go into a shitty building and sit in there for 3 hours. But instead they gave me this Breath of the Wild-like exploration in tandem with all the demons being on the field now and them chasing you and them being like size accurate. A thing that Pokemon struggles to do. And I'm just like, this is it. So that's why it's like higher up for me. And I feel like it nails that. I'm willing to fight for it to go up higher, also from the fact that it kicks the shit out of Metroid Dread's soundtrack, like in every angle.
Yeah, Metroid Dread soundtrack is like it's the weakest link, unfortunately.
It's its weakest link, and they came prepared on this one for Shin Megami Tensei 5.
I do agree that Metroid Dread soundtrack is one of the weaker parts of it. I think for me, the reason this is so complicated and contested is literally both of these are games where the people who make them for 19 years didn't know how to move forward.
Yes.
That's insane. Name a year where that's happened before, where it's just a franchise. Because, like, seriously, they haven't known what to do with Metroid since Zero Mission. They tried Other M. That wasn't a natural thing to do.
Yeah, it's almost like it was one person being insane
and be given too much trust and money.
Yes.
That project is definitely that. Whereas Shin Megami Tensei 4 and 4 Apocalypse, those exist, and people who like the scale of those really enjoy those games, and they are excellent. Which is kind of where like Metroid Dread, in my opinion, wins over Mega 10.5 because there isn't that for this. This really is the moment of like, feel the way he was talking about it was a more extreme version of how I feel about it, where it's just like, it feels like they finally found their exact niche and it's firing on all cylinders and it's hyper polished. Like it feels to me that Metroid perfectly is rounded out combat wise, exploration wise, all of these things. And coincidentally, it also had a great fucking story. Like a story that was perfectly suited to that game, right? It's not Shakespeare. But I don't go into a Metroid game expecting multiple cool lore things. And then on top of that, this like betrayal turnover plot twist thing. Like, I thought it was really neat. I think and this goes for both games, this point especially, doing what they did on the Switch is amazing.
Yes.
Yes, in both cases, they achieved something really, really cool. Metroid Dread's so small.
Yeah, I know. It's a little baby game.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a cute little baby game. It's kind of crazy.
Things like a 15th the size of my YouTube videos.
Your VODs are bigger than the actual game.
But by a landslide. Those things are like up in the tens of gigs. This thing's 2?
Yes.
Or something. Like little baby game.
Yeah, that Nintendo compression magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough.
But yeah, I personally feel stronger for SMT5. That's why I put it higher on my list. But I do feel like Metroid is the more like it connected with more of us, I think. And it left a bigger impression. That's why it's higher on several lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're doing it like as a community, I can concede that it's like Metroid Dread should probably win because it hit everyone's list and everyone had a chance to like play it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do definitely feel a lot stronger for SMT5. So it's tough, but if
Yeah, and the negatives for me for SMT are like it has issues where I feel like the ending isn't where it should be. And that doesn't affect me for my top list, but I definitely see that as a weakness compared to Dread, where it just feels like this is a wholly complete game. They haven't make a super satisfying ending.
I'm thanking God the end of Metroid Dread doesn't pull a Zero Mission.
Yes.
Because while first time through Zero Mission, I had no problem with that ending segment and thought it was really cool. I'm not going to even engage with replays of that game that go all the way to the end because of that.
Yeah.
People were totally right during Metroid month of, they wanted to do a cool thing, and unfortunately, it worked to the detriment of replays. I'm like, yeah, no, you're totally right, totally right. Yeah, for me, it's neck and neck, honestly, but I do feel more strongly about Dread. But yeah, I feel like this is right. These two, because it's close.
Yeah, it's really close.
It's really close.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in no world is it like, oh yeah, obviously.
Fuck SMT5. You should play Metroid Dread. Yeah.
Imagine everything that isn't number 1 is
S.
number 2 is just the first loser.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, 100%. God, that would be insane to look at this list that way. Until you get to number 10, where I feel like multiple people on this podcast would be like, yeah, that's a loser.
Failing upward.
That dude puked on my SSD.
I almost cried.
When that happened, I was like, I could see Game of the Year from here. It's a fight for survival. Oh, man. Yeah, so does anyone see anything else on this list that's just fucking wrong? Like that just needs to move? Does anyone want to argue anything up or down?
I don't. Part of me is like, it'd be cool if Lost Judgment went up one, but I feel pretty satisfied with the movements I've gotten. So unless Phil also wants to push for that, I don't know if he's also like, maybe we could get that into 5.
Nah, I'm fine with.
That's kind of where I'm at. Where I'm like, what is the thing I could even think of moving? And that's the only thing. And I don't feel like hyper strong about it because it's already at 6.
I like Lost Judgment a lot, but I'm not going to put on the fucking Blood War outfit like I did for Disco Elysium in 2019. Like,
You're not
strongly.
going to put on the anonymous mask and start hopping buildings like in that game. Yeah, no, I have nothing I care about moving. The only thing I care about is like the thing at the top.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah, I'm looking at these. I'm like, this seems fine.
Yeah.
This seems right.
I'll be honest. Last year, a struggle.
Yeah.
This year, it kind of just worked.
Yes.
Like I felt.
Yeah, everything's kind of like locking into place really. It helped that we killed 8 games in the first 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, it helps that we liked a variety of different things.
It helps that the variety of games that we liked just so happened to populate 7 through 10s on our list.
Yes. Like, if Ryza was Feels number 1.
Yes.
Or Arise was Bob's number 1.
Right. It's like, I need that.
Instead, me and Field joined the Pacific Rim mech as we line up with perfect top 3s.
Yeah. This, I'm going to be honest, and this is going to upset people listening to this most likely, but I'm going to fucking say it anyways. I'm really glad this didn't devolve into me trying to explain why I don't arrest Evil Village on this list.
Oh, yeah. I don't.
I was shocked
didn't make
when
anyone list but KZ's.
No, it made.
I didn't.
thought it was going to be on everybody's list.
No, I had planned on shooting it because I was like, I don't think Feel's going to pick it based on things he had told me. I knew it wasn't going to be on your 2's list. And I was like, I'm dreading this conversation, so I'm going to shoot it now.
Yeah,
because I'm not going to have fun in it, so I'm just going to die.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's really just like, man, that sure wasn't what I wanted. It's fine, though.
It was like so many things about it I'm really into.
Uh-huh.
But the way it just comes together doesn't work for me. That's what ultimately what it ended up being with that. Does anyone... I know we were there.
Yeah.
I'm pulling the car back.
Okay.
Does anyone want to push to get Ratchet and Clank on this list and take Returnal or Kena off?
No. I don't even want to risk Kena going for Ratchet.
Okay, so we settled the list. As it turns out, Melty Blood got in and Ratchet. Kana's dead. Returnal's gone.
Melty Blood's number 10. Story of Seasons is gone. Rift Apart is number 1.
Oh no, I was gonna say Lost Judgment 1. We don't know how.
Come from behind home run.
Math and arguments did not win it.
Yeah,
looks like the new gerrymandered map came in. Let's see how things go from here.
Oh, weird.
Oh man, It Takes Two did win.
No Metroid Dread though. I don't know.
But yeah, I'm feeling good about this list. I feel like I got enough to survive and feel good about some of the things.
Right?
Like it feels. I think it's there. I think it's there.
If Bob will no longer fight for SMT5 to get to the very top, I will also not.
Yeah, I liked the game a lot.
I do. I'm doing this as like a team thing. If you're not cool with it, then neither am I.
Yeah, is a group thing. I think Metroid is better fit, honestly.
Yeah, that's also where I'm at. It was just a clash of my love with the love of the community. But yeah, I'm fine giving it up if you are.
Yeah, it's an excellent game. Absolutely.
Yes.
But I'm fine with it sitting there and not getting adjusted up to number 1.
And I've been the most vocal about some issues I had with it, but I was still like, dude, what did you do? You faltered, but you also made something I couldn't have ever have fathomed from you.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. They're both so strong.
I guess this list is in fact correct.
Our top 4 list, just the top 4 are so strong.
Yep.
It's weird that it's like we don't need to talk about it anymore. Like that doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be complicated.
I'm getting excited that we don't. It's kind of crazy.
Like we're gonna hit stop recording, and then one of us is gonna go, "That doesn't make sense." Don't you remember that racist part in Metroid Dread? We're gonna go, "Oh no, we look like racists."
Oh no, it's okay. We got Tales of Arise did not place.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Sure. There's that part where Ravenbeak reads you his manifesto, but Samus just shoots him with a missile that has the dislike logo on it.
Plus, we can all agree he said some things that make sense.
You know, Ravenbeak's just asking questions.
Oh my god!
The problem with X Parasite.
And it's through this conversation, Bob's like, "I'd like to reignite the fight for SMT5."
He's like, "Fuck it, give it to Deltarune."
That would be funny.
Okay, so I'm going to read this list.
Okay.
Number 1, Metroid Dread. Number 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Number 3, Deltarune Chapter 2. Number 4, Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. Number 5, Death's Door. Number 6, Lost Judgment. Number 7, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. Number 8, Neo Twewi. Number 9, Kena Bridge of Spirits. And number 10, Returnal. I'm willing to sign off on this. Theo?
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, it's weird.
That's honestly, the most reticence comes out of how quick this happened. KZ?
Yes, let's lock this in.
Okay. Well, there we go. That's your GigaBoots Podcast Network Podstravaganza Goaty Gate 2021 10 billion other words top 10 list. Number 1, Metroid Dread. Number 2, Shin Megami Tensei 5. Number 3, Deltarune Chapter 2. Number 4, Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. Number 5, Death's Door. Number 6, Lost Judgment. Number 7, Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. Number 8, Neo, The World Ends With You. Number 9, Kena, Bridge of Spirits. And number 10, Returnal. It was a strong year with a lot of variety. This was a lot of comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah, it was.
100%.
Some years it does not feel like comparing a lot of apples and oranges, but this year it really did. Thank you to everyone who listened to all of our GOTY 2021 podcasts. If you can manage, we would like it if you supported us over on patreon.com/GB podcast. I hear they might get some stuff, Mr. Feel?
Yes. I'm not used to starting at this point. Let me fucking try and figure this out. You can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/GB podcast for many benefits, such as early access to Chugging Bleach and Mondo Cool, our 2 anime review podcasts, extended armchair dev pitches and gamer premonitions for when those shows force us to leave ideas on the cutting room floor, and a Patreon exclusive show, 1 per month, where you get to decide on what good or bad thing we watch. That's patreon.com/GB podcast. And if you don't have any money, you can always help us by spreading the word. And if you don't have any friends, you can die and then be given like an egg and be told that you have to take care of this egg as a ghost for several weeks so you can come back to your body. But then you throw away the egg to save someone from the fire in your apartment that for some reason has light switches that turn on and off fire. It's really bizarre. But you have to throw the egg, and then it'll seem like, oh, I guess I'm dead now. But then it'll be like, no, you made the really hard decision to sacrifice yourself to save someone, so you get to come back to life, and you'll be a changed person and find it much easier to make friends that you can then tell about our podcasting network. That's patreon.com/GB podcast.
Also, you can fund our future buyouts, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new hires are just rattling their cup against the bars.
Yeah.
The executive producers for this month of GigaBoots are Esme, E. Lee Broyles, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, Live Action Muito Real, Completely Normal Adam, Cooper Tank, Zilter, and Virvarm. Thank you very much to our executive producers and also these patrons. If you want to become an executive producer for an obscure but powerful YouTube channel, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.